Hey everyone, Happy New Year. The numbers are in for Whisper Dunes in Panama City Beach. I'm Craig Duran with the Duran Group over at Berkshire Hathaway Home Services. Going to give you a comprehensive look at the market in 2020, the overall housing market in Panama City Beach and Whisper Dunes specifically. We'll do this in three parts for you. First part, we're going to look at the overall market so you can get some sense of the activity and some important statistics I want you to know. Be a little bit of a short part of it. Then we'll get into specifically what's going on in Whisper Dunes. And then part three is going to talk about what we might expect going forward in 2021. And also anybody who's thinking about selling in 2021, I've got a couple important pro tips for you, some good strategies on pricing and also on timing. So let's get right into it. First of all, last year in this price range, I've got this organized by between 300,000 and 550,000. It's a little bit high for Whisper Dunes, but I think it gives us the right price, the same right idea. There were 10% more new homes that came up for sale in this price range, not necessarily new construction homes, just new listings of homes for sale. There were 10% more in this price range last year. But look at this, there were 23% more new contracts written last year. Quite a big jump. In real estate, it's not surprising to see 2, 3, 4% differences per year. 23% more new contracts, and then ultimately look at this, 25% more new sold homes in this price, just in this price range in Panama City Beach. That's a pretty big number. And look at it in terms of volume. Almost $197 million worth of real estate in this price range was sold in 2019. $250 million just in homes priced between $300,000 and $550,000 on the beach last year. Pretty big move. You may have heard it's a hot market. There's some proof for you right there. The average sales price in this price point only moved up about 1%. That's not a huge move, but remember that takes into account homes in subdivisions, homes out of subdivisions, all different sizes, all different ages, locations, all those things. So I would contend that there's certainly some homes in that price point that are inferior from a value standpoint compared to Whisper Dunes. So we're going to show you some specific Whisper Dunes pricing here shortly. Remember, this chart's an important one, very important one to understand when you're looking at the overall market. The red line here represents the number of homes that are for sale at any given month. And as you can see, what's kind of interesting, we've been adding more and more and more homes for sale over the last 2 years. And we're at our highest level in 2 years. And at first glance, that might be a little concerning, like, ooh, there are too many homes for sale, there are not enough buyers, the market's going to slow down. But let's look at this months of inventory number. Remember, it's worth revisiting for those of you who haven't heard my spiel on months of inventory. Months of inventory, traditionally 5 or 6 months of inventory has traditionally represented a normal or neutral market, if there's such a thing in real estate. Theoretically, if you had something for sale and you called the real estate office, met with the real estate agent, got the marketing going, started to show the house, negotiated offers, got to a contract, worked through the closing process, and then finally got to a sale, that whole entire process would take about 5 or 6 months normally, neutral market. If that whole process is happening faster, say the whole thing happens in 4 months or 3 months or 2 months, then, homes are going under contract quicker, closings are happening quicker. That's a more active market. Buyers are more interested. Maybe there are not as many homes for sale. Very much seller market territory, like you've heard. So let's look at what's happened in the overall market, and then we'll get into Whisper Dunes. Beginning of the year, January, we were very, very much in the seller's market, not even into the 3 months of inventory. So theoretically here, 2.28 months of inventory means that everything on the market would sell out in 2.28 months if no new listings came up. We slowed down quite a bit in April as a direct result of the pandemic hitting in March and everybody kind of on hold for about a month or so, but very quickly we recovered. Take a look here. 3.6 months of inventory and then under 2 months of inventory in June and July. Very, very hot market. And now, and it's an important trend to notice. We've slowed down a little bit to 2.3, 2.6, 2.8 months, 3.1, 3.2. We're trending softer. Things are just easing off a little bit. But remember, if 5 or 6 months of inventory is our baseline for a neutral market, then 2 and 3 months of inventory is still very hot. A couple notes. Again, we're still in a very, very good market, very healthy, hot market. We need to watch that and see if that trend continues and goes from 3 to 4, 4 to 5, 5 to 6. Now we're getting back into neutral market territory, potentially drifting into a buyer's market. That's where things really slow down. That's where prices start to be affected. We're not there yet. It's just something I think we need to keep an eye on. When you look at Whisper Dunes specifically, this market is acting almost the opposite of the rest of the housing market. In fact, it looks very much like the condo market in some ways. The top of the homes, available homes for sale in Whisper Dunes was October of 2019. And since then, there have just been fewer and fewer and fewer homes for sale. Some of that, of course, comes from some of the new construction that went on. But for the most part, it's exactly the opposite. The red lines are opposite. So inventory is tightening, supply is tightening. If we look at the months of inventory number, starting here, January, anytime there isn't a sale, we can't pick up a number. But let's see where we were. We started the year about 1.5, very hot, drifted to kind of buyer market territory for a minute. And then since July, look at the market. Other than 1 month that had a few less sales, it's been an extremely, extremely hot market in Whisper Dunes. And there are a couple of things I want you to keep in mind. We're going to talk about pricing in just a minute. Keep in mind about how hot the market is. If we look at this screen, I've got this organized by date here. So starting earlier in the year and moving through the year. And just looking at pricing. And I haven't broken it down by square footage or homes with pools or anything like that. Obviously, there's going to be some differences in the size of homes, in condition, things like that. But I just wanted to see if I could pick up any trends of some appreciation. So starting just with the home section, let's look at the bottom end and see if the bottom end moves up. That's always a good place to look and see if prices are moving up. So early in the year, we had a 335. We didn't really have a sale in a house until April, and then not another one until May, and then July. So early in the year for Whisper Dunes, at least, it's maybe 320, 335 is the range. And I think what's interesting to note is later in the year, it's really only a few months later, we don't see anything lower than 340 after that. Again, I know some of this is dictated by square footage and things like that, but I'm just looking at trends in general. Some other trends, let's look at the high end. Early in the year, 376. A little later in the year, 392. We get later in the year, 445, 500, 541, 435. We didn't see anything with the 4s or the 5s in it early in the year. So obviously some signs that some pricing is moving up. When you look at the attached units, again, let's start on the bottom end. So early in the year, 232, 242, again, 242, 244. Obviously, that's some of the new construction stuff, 248. And then later in the year, I don't see anything lower than 260. So pretty good move up there in the attached units. On the high end, let's look at that, 290 on one of the resales, 280, 275, 299, a little drift up, halfway through the year, 292.5, 290, another resale at 280. So a little bit of some signs there of the market popping up just a touch. So again, like you can see, pricing moving moving higher, not in big moves, but there's certainly signs of it. Now let's take a look ahead at 2021, and especially let's talk about this is most important for anybody who's thinking about selling this year. Couple things on timing strategies and pricing strategies that I think can really, really help. Even if, I was going to say, whatever real estate office you call, just have some of these ideas in mind. It's going to help you. So first of all, what you're looking at here, remember, comes from a company called Showing Time. Showing Time is a system that real estate agents and brokers use to actually schedule showing appointments. It's just a software program. What's nice about it is it gives us some data to look at. So I knew early in the pandemic, I found this and wanted to start watching this because I knew early on the orange line represents 2020. So I knew early that we were going to have all of a sudden fewer and fewer showings, obviously in March. But I wanted to see when we would bottom out. I wanted to see when we might turn around, because that might be an early sign. If people are getting out to start looking at real estate again, that's an early sign, of course, that the market's picking up. By end of May, I think a lot of us were surprised by this, but we were showing as much real estate by the end of May as we were in 2019. And if you watch this, the rest of 2020, we were showing as much or oftentimes more real estate than we did in 2019 in the middle of a pandemic. So one important takeaway here for thinking about selling, remember all the things I just showed you. We're still in a very, very good market, right? We're a very hot market, a lot of demand, very active. Still, it's supposed to be the off season, and we're still very busy. Look at this chart based off of this 0% baseline. Excuse me. They're updating the baseline right now, but you'll understand. Look at where do we see the most traffic in the last 2 years? Right here starts early February. There's a big rush, a spike in showing activity. Now, one note on this is for the entire state of Florida. It includes condominiums and housing. The seasons are very different. The buying trends are very different in South Florida than they are here. I would contend we have another run in our market right in here. But anybody who's trying to take advantage of what's happening now, high prices, lots of demand, low competition, all that, get your marketing going as soon as you can. The pickup comes up. We're starting to show property. We already are, but the numbers are telling us that at least by early February, things will pick up. And another reason to take advantage of that if you're selling is just the lack of available properties for sale. And right now it looks like we only have one home for sale in Whisper Dunes and 5 of the attached units for sale. So if you're thinking about that, think about it from a timing standpoint. Start to think about calling your agent now to get things started. There's not a lot of competition, as you can see. And now let's talk about pricing for a minute. One of the big challenges right now when the market is moving up is the appraisals. It's not easy, but easier to find a buyer, a seller to price aggressively and a buyer to say, yeah, I'll pay that price. It's a little more difficult sometimes to get the appraiser to agree. If all of the sales had been at 280 and we have a contract at 300, there's some challenges there. First of all, this is the market to price aggressive in. Make sure that you're pricing in this market and you're not pricing in the market from a few months ago. Remember, anything that closed 2 months ago, the contract was probably written a month or two before that. So, the average real estate agent will come in and tell you, hey, here are all the sales from the last 6 months. Let's take the average of that or maybe the higher end of that and we'll price right there. And then people think it's wonderful. We had a sale inside of 24 hours. We had 5 offers inside of, a week. Wow, great. I would contend there that in some cases, not all, that maybe we left a little money on the table. You can price aggressively. You can price over the market as long as you have some strategies on how you're going to get a contract at that price to get it closed. There's some very specific things you can do when you're negotiating the contract that make the contract make the buyer much more obligated to be closing at the price. There are some things you can do before the appraisal gets ordered and right about the time the appraisal is getting done to control and dictate that situation so you have a better chance at a better number. Make sure you have some of those things in place. It's extremely important but it matters. Working with a lady right now who's on her 5th or 6th offer. Her house has only been on the market for 4 weeks or so. And remember, that whole process is supposed to take about 5 or 6 months, right? Neutral market, normal market is 5 or 6 months. I'm working with someone right now. She's on her 5th offer. She's gone from a pretty decent offer with not a lot of down payment to now full price, and someone is putting 20% down just by being a little patient, and not 5, 6 months patient, just 3 or 4 weeks. That's the kind of market we're in. Price aggressively, be patient, be willing to work through contracts that aren't ironclad. Make sure you have someone that understands that, and make sure you have strategies to combat the potential for low appraisals. If you're talking to someone and they can't speak to this stuff, then you're somewhat limited at what people were selling for last July and August. Keep those things in mind. It's really, really important. So anybody thinking of selling, especially, price aggressively, have strategies for the appraisal, be patient, let the market work in your favor a little bit. We're all used to getting things, instant gratification society. We're all used to getting things very quickly. Don't worry if as long as you're getting showing activity consistently, don't worry if the first offer or two doesn't work out, or if you don't have an offer right away. Unless you need it, then that's a different story. Anyway, I hope you guys found this helpful. Looking ahead in 2021, we still see a very, very healthy market over the short term. In fact, most of the rest of the year we think is going to look very good. I'm watching that trend on the overall market to see if we drift into neutral market territory. If we drift into neutral market territory, that may be signs of some things really softening. But for now, we're in good shape. I know it's almost 17 minutes of information. If you have any questions on that, let me know. For those of you who aren't signed up on our e-alerts, I know most of you already are. If you want our e-alert system, it's free. There's no obligation to work with us. It's just something I believe in. I've been selling real estate since 2003, and I haven't ever seen a system that provides people with excellent, accurate information. I haven't seen a system that does it this easy, this efficiently. It's comes straight from our real estate agent system. Anytime a house goes up for sale, goes under contract, changes price, or sells, you can be alerted. And we can set it up so that you get it daily if you want. You could get it weekly or just monthly if you're trying to just keep track of things here and there. It's an excellent way, especially to keep up with the sales side. We use it a lot for owners just to see the actual real information, sold date, sold price, not what someone says it sold for. On the buying side, we're setting people up on instant alerts. So as soon as something comes up that they're looking for, they're notified right away. So if you're interested in that, let me know. Shoot me an email to craig@craigduran.com or shoot me a text 850-527-0221. Again, happy to set you up. There's no obligation. There's no charge or anything like that. We're just trying to get people informed about what's happening in the market. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Thanks for watching. We'll be in touch next month. Stay safe.